Mansfields Melbourne is brought to you by Hudson Bond Real Estate. Building for your future and assuring you of personal attention at all times. Hello and welcome to Mansfields Melbourne. It's Wednesday night, it's our midweek edition of the show, and tonight we meet our good friend from the peninsula. That's the Frankston real estate man, Bob Garnett. We discuss a church with a difference out in Doncaster way, and Sean Penn from Danaher's Hardware in Heidelberg talks about a special ladies' night where you can hang a picture. Plus, Claire Halliday brings us the latest in local news. But first, let's see what's making news tonight, Wednesday, March the 19th. And Holmes Glen TAFE has scored a $10 million boost from the state government. The windfall is being used to build a hospitality training centre, library and student amenities. The hospitality centre will be the first in the state to offer electronic gaming machine club management. A Piersdale resident says he'll fight a decision to declare his dog a dangerous dog. The Rottweiler owner says he'll take the City of Casey's action all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. The man says his animal is sociable, approachable, touchable and ropeable. A water bottling plant is being planned for Warburton to take advantage of the designer bottled water market. The idea is meeting some opposition from the Yarra Ranges Council, which has responded to a petition signed by 200 local residents. Outgoing commissioners of the city of Glen Eira will be allowed access to their secret files, even though they have now left their positions. Before leaving their jobs, the commissioners voted that the council should also indemnify them against any actions brought against them while they ran for council. And at the Doncaster Templestowe area, residents have been named as Victoria's biggest gamblers. They spend more than $3 million, or $3 should I say, in every 100 on gambling. And that's the news to this moment. This is Mansfields Melbourne. Well, there are many different churches in Melbourne, but one that's giving a very welcoming message is the Liberty Church in Doncaster. And Richard Kerridge is with us. Hello, Richard. How are you?
Bruce.
Welcome to Mansfields Melbourne.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
The Liberty Church was in the inner city originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were called Inner City Christian Church, and we had lots of young people, particularly from the university. And as they were married, had children, started to move out to the east. And so we decided, well, what are we going to do? Our congregation's moving east, so we decided, let's start one in the east.
All right, Richard, but what does the Liberty Church in Doncaster offer, a family or an individual in the 90s?
Yes, well, I think we're very relevant. Our message is the gospel message, still what the Bible declares, but it's very relevant. The music's relevant. The social scene is relevant. We have home groups. Well, I think our church particularly would be very relevant to any single person or married family from probably 50 down.
What about multiculturalism? Richard, do you cater for that?
Very much so. I have a heart for the nations. I've been to Africa numbers of times and numbers of nations lecturing and doing things, and we would have a large cross-section of different cultures, different nationalities. And a lot of Asians and some Africans, which I love. I think it's great.
Richard, we read of dwindling numbers of the congregation in many of the mainstream churches. Perhaps the churches don't have a chance to react to that.
No, that disappoints me that sometimes that inference is there. For as I travel, churches like ours are growing, and it's in some cases up to 100% growth a year. Not all of them, of course, and also right across the nations. Churches like ours are growing.
You're doing a lot in, well, I won't list all, but Nigeria and Ghana, China, Hong Kong, right through in many into Europe and New Zealand.
Yes, we particularly feel that we have a call from God to reach out to others. We've been blessed in this country, in Australia. I think we have a wonderful country. And as I travel, particularly in places like Africa, there's a tremendous openness to Christian things and to Christ. but there's a tremendous need for good teaching, for help, for them to do what they can do in that country. And we have resources, we have know-how. And there's people in our church that are not ministers that can go over there and even train the ministers because of what we have that they don't have. They have the enthusiasm, they have the zeal, but we have a lot to offer, and so we see that as an important part of our church's vision.
All right. This is the Liberty Church in Doncaster.
Yeah, Liberty Christian Church.
Liberty Christian Church in Doncaster, meetings at 10:30 on a Sunday at the Manningham Primary School. This is in Manningham Road, Lower Templestowe. We wish you well with the gospel message, Richard, and thanks for spreading it with us tonight on Mansfields Melbourne.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank
Pleasure.
you. We'll be back in just a moment. Hardware and do-it-yourself duties around the house have been pretty well relegated to the province of the man around the house. But out Heidelberg way, they're doing something different about that. And to discuss it is Sean Paine from Danaher's Mitre 10 store in Heidelberg. Hello, Sean. Welcome to Mansfields Melbourne.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is, as I'm saying, most odd jobs left to the man around the house. But Danaher's in Heidelberg are going to do something about this.
Yeah, well, we've decided that well, there are ladies in the house that do want to get things done too, and there's many ladies that come and see us, and some of these ladies want to know how to do these things around the house themselves.
Right, so what are you doing about it?
We've decided to put on a ladies' night especially. We ran one of these back in December. It was very successful. We had over 200 ladies come into the store for that night. This time round we've actually had 125 already confirmed. Back then we only had 75 confirmations. We've only just put the ad out now.
Right, and do you charge for this information?
No, it's a free night. We run it from 6 p.m. till 10, not 10 a.m, 9 p.m.
Well, it wouldn't be 10 a.m, maybe 24 hours.
Yeah, 9 a.m, and it's a pretty informal night. We offer demonstrations.
So would you have experts, say, that coming from plumbing or painting?
Yeah, we sure do. We've got pretty good experts which are representatives from the particular companies which are doing the demos that night, so they're on hand to give you expert advice as well as us.
Now, Sean, is it open to men as well?
No, strictly ladies' night we're offering. There's chicken and champagne.
Gee, that's all right.
We've got nibblies and bits and pieces which are supplied.
I suppose restricting it to the ladies, they can answer or ask any of the novice questions that they might not feel, a bit embarrassed to do.
Well, I think last time round it made them feel a lot more comfortable. There are a lot more of them there that, well, they can be asking you the questions. There's plenty of people there that want to know the answers.
They even have a guided tour through a mill. Yeah,
we mill our own timber there too, and our timber yard's about twice the size of the store itself, so we can show them through, see how it's done.
How long have Danaher's been there in Heidelberg?
Well, I think they've been there since about 1948. It was started by Mr. Senior Danaher. I think it's Ted Danaher is his name.
Right.
He started, he was one of the original members of Mitre 10 that started all going.
Is that right? One of them, yeah. Well, it's a real landmark down there, and I commend this ladies' night. Cheese, wine, nibblies, chicken and champagne. Sounds a terrific night. Sean Paine from Danaher's. I'll give you the address and the phone number very shortly. And also any ladies not living in the area are more than welcome.
Certainly, I know last time we had ladies from all over Victoria. Practically one lady from Dandenong, someone from Belgrave.
Good.
Came up, heard by a friend, and
All right, well, they're at 464 Lower Heidelberg Road in Heidelberg, and Danaher's phone number is 9457-2645. Ring that number for ladies' night. Thanks very much indeed, Sean, for being with us.
Thank you.
Good. We'll take a break on Mansfields Melbourne. Heading down Frankston Way on Mansfields Melbourne, and we call into Bob Garnett Real Estate at 454 Nepean Highway. There are two numbers there, 8/454 Nepean Highway in Frankston. Bob, thanks for joining us on Mansfields Melbourne.
Hello, Bruce. How are you? Thank you for inviting me again.
It's the way you come up here every week to be with us.
Well, that's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure.
Let's talk about how you, as a real estate firm down in Frankston, can find buyers for your property.
Yes, this is very, very important, Bruce, because what most real estate agents do, of course, is get a fixed price on a house or a property.
Yes.
And then from there on, if that price doesn't suit, we don't get people there.
Right.
What we do, we give a price range and invite people along in that price range. So we'll find that people, let's say at $120,000, might well afford a house and come along to have a look at the house, although it's priced between $120,000 and $150,000. Then it's our job, of course, to negotiate a much higher price for them up to what they would like.
Right.
But by doing that, what we do is we get them sort of in the net, so to speak. We feel there's a pool of buyers out there at the moment, and if we can invite all of those people to come and talk to us, at least we have a chance of selling it. So we give a price range.
That's quite a unique aspect to real estate.
It's a little different. It's, I suppose it's a bit like the auction system, where the auction system is asking people to come along with no price in mind, although the agent probably would give you an idea. This is like price by negotiation, if you like,
right.
Between a certain price. And it will get people looking. If, for instance, we have another house at 150,000 to 170,000, then the 150,000 people may well not be able to get their price up higher for that particular house, but may well go into the next category down and
right.
get well suited.
It makes it easier for your people to sell too.
And it makes it easier to get that better price for our vendors.
For your
and that's
vendors.
the most thing. Yes.
Because you've got to please both parties, don't you?
Yes.
The person who's buying and selling.
Yes, a bit like a bank, Bruce. You've got a customer and you've got a client, and you've got to look after both sides, I suppose.
I haven't broached the subject with you before. What about finance, Bob? Can you help people out?
Yes, we can help people out on a 5% deposit. So if the house is $100,000 full price, then all they need is $5,000 deposit, and we can usually get them finance subject to, of course, certain criteria.
Well, that's very good. You're providing an excellent service down
Yes,
that way,
thank
especially with the range of prices with the housing.
Yes.
That's so difficult. People say, oh, I just love that house, but it's out of my range.
Yes.
But maybe you can get something similar for a lower price.
Yes, that's right. Maybe just in a slightly different area, and it might have everything they want, but just move 4 or 5 streets away, and the price changes a little bit.
In the area, you've got old and new housing to offer?
Yes, we have. Of course, Frankston goes back a long way in the early 1900s when it was first established.
Yes.
And we do have older style houses.
So if you would like a full presentation on how to get the highest price possible for your property, phone Bob Garnett Real Estate at Frankston on 978 14 anytime. It's a 24-hour service and typical of Bob Garnett and his team. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you very much.
This is Mansfields Melbourne.
Good evening, everybody, and what a wonderful life. I always say I have the best life in the world. I travel the world, I work with the famous entertainers, Australian born, but I've been over half of my life overseas, and my choice is always the thrill to meet different people in different places. The camera people you can't see while you're watching at home tonight. These things are masters. I'm proud to travel the world with an organist who is a theatre organist. You remember where the organ used to come out of the bowels of the theatre, like a crematorium in reverse? I've travelled with this fella so many places, London to New York, to Hong Kong, to Singapore. So pleased. You will love him, I promise you, on a rather smaller edition than a theatre organ, the one and only Gordon McKenzie. Lovely to be with you, Gordon, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel. It's a delight to be here with you, of course. And let's face it, it's a delight to be anywhere. In the music world, well, let me take you back in time. We're going back to the opening of the Olympic Games, the games before last, which were at Barcelona. They were the games when we had some of the great forces of the world. Pavarotti, Domingo, Bruce Mansfield. Yes, the great forces of the world. This piece, I'm sure, will bring back some memories for you, and it's called Y Viva España.
had so much reaction at the office, especially today and this afternoon, about the magic keyboard of, well, the mandrake of the keyboard, Gordon McKenzie. He was on last night, you may remember, on Mansfields Melbourne, so we've invited him back tonight. Gordon, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
That was absolutely superb last night.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thoroughly
Colin.
enjoyed it. And in fact, just on the set there, we have a signage there about some of the shows that are coming up with Meikle, who was featured with you.
Yes, a brilliant artist, and we're really looking forward to those shows. We're travelling right around Victoria. We just finished the Australian circuit, and now for Senior Citizens Week, we move around the various towns.
Ideal week this week to be doing that.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah,
Lovely
yes.
to meet the people out there too.
So what's your background, Gordon? How did you become involved in both the Wurlitzer and the other organs?
Well, it's more or less been a long interest. We're all musicians in the family, Bruce.
Oh, yes.
And I started with piano, like most organists. Organ, let's face it, with the size of the theatre organ, it's always something like it's magnet. It's magnetism, you just are pulled toward it. The sound is so grandiose.
Would you be too young to remember the interval and the organ before the shows at the Regent and the Plaza?
Yes, just a little. I can remember the likes of, say, 1966 onwards, which was obviously after the heyday, when we had some of the great organists coming in from the world circuit.
Well, I go back to radio, the early radio days,
Yes.
and the bridges, the music bridges that we used in serials and quizzes were always from an organ. While they changed the acts in a play, it would be Wilbur Kentwell in the corner playing a little adagio or arpeggio.
That's what I was kind of hoping would happen at the Regent, because as you would be aware, of course, the Regent in Melbourne now has the largest theatre organ in the Southern Hemisphere.
Now, where is that housed?
It's in the Regent. It's fully
still there,
It's
yeah.
fully there. No, it's not the same organ. This is a new organ that's been brought in from San Francisco.
Right.
Huge.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they can't get it up through the orchestra pit.
Oh, that's
with
a shame.
the show this year, of course.
Yeah, oh, because the swimming pool's there, isn't it? Sunset Boulevard,
yes.
right? Let's have a look at some of your, a couple of CDs that you might like to talk about. Well, one CD now that you might like to just tell us
Yes,
about.
yes,
Aren't
well-
those little holes? They're never big enough, are they?
No, they're not quite, no.
Yeah.
No.
I'll just, you tell us about yourself.
Fire Those Pipes, that was recorded on the organ. Many of your viewers would, of course, remember the organ from the old State Theatre in Flinders Street.
Yes, of course.
Which is now at Moorabbin Town Hall.
Right.
And Fire Those Pipes, of course, is a program with Phantom of the Opera through to the Dam Busters. Music appropriate for the era, and that's recorded on that organ.
All right.
And then, of course, Take Your Seats. That's on electronic organ and a more contemporary feel.
So, Fire Those Pipes, that's the big Wurlitzer.
That's the big Wurlitzer.
And where did you find that? Where is that?
That's at Moorabbin Town Hall now.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And the other?
Yes, the other one is the electronic organ,
Right.
which we had in the studio just last night.
Oh, that was fabulous. I enjoyed
Yes,
that.
yes.
It was really good.
Thank you.
So what people are buying with these two CDs are two different types of music, really.
Totally different styles. Yes.
Where does the organ go back to? Is it an old instrument?
Organ, well, I mean, it's been related even back to the panpipes of Zeus.
Is that right?
Now, whether that be true or not, I don't know.
And that's into Greek mythology, isn't
That's
it?
right, that's right. But if we go back in time, the earliest organs, of course, had notes about 2, 3, 4 inches wide.
Really?
And you really had to pound
Yes.
things down
Yes.
because of the pressure.
Now, you played the Naughty 90s musical and the Bull and Bush.
Yes, I was there as MD and also did some magic on stage there.
Really?
Yeah,
What,
yes.
pulling hairs out of...
Well, guillotines.
really? What, sawing women in half?
Oh, that was fun, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I won't ask you how that's done.
No.
Do you have an organ at home?
Yes, there are 4 at home and 5 pianos.
Do you teach?
I do a little teaching now, mostly in the coaching area.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. You must come back and tell us about that and,
Love to.
and
Love
mention
to.
addresses and phone numbers. In
Please,
fact,
yes.
if you want to, do you want to mention where you live or lessons?
Yes, I live out at Melton, which
Yep.
is a long way from here, I know. But my phone number in Melbourne, if anyone wants to ring me, 9743 7603.
9743
43 7603.
03 if you want lessons or a little bit of tuition on,
Yes,
on
yes.
the organ. Who's the greatest organist that you've heard, Gordon, apart from yourself?
George Wright, undoubtedly.
Oh, yes, he was...
George Wright is now, unfortunately, virtually blind.
Oh, yeah.
And only recently had his license taken from him. He was still driving around the streets of America.
Yeah.
But fabulous artist.
Do you know Ken Griffin?
Yes, Ken,
He's
on
gold
the Hammond
standard.
organs.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the first
Yes.
albums that I ever had was Latin Mexicana with Ken Griffin.
Oh,
on the
right,
organ.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, lovely talking to you, Gordon. Welcome back anytime, you and your mate over there, Mel Meikle. Thanks very much for being with us tonight, Gordon McKenzie.
A pleasure, Bruce.
Good
Thank
idea.
you. Thank you.
This is Mansfields Melbourne, back with more in a moment.
Sestia and Barnett's arrival in Melbourne coincided with the spring racing season at Flemington. So on Saturday the 31st of October 1896, they shot films of the AJC Derby and of the Victorian Governor's wife placing a blue ribbon on the winning horse, Newhaven. No copy of any Australian films made up to this time are known to survive, but on the following Tuesday, they returned to Flemington to film the Melbourne Cup. Australia's surviving heritage of film begins on that Tuesday, the 3rd of November 1896, at Flemington Railway Station. For anyone who was accustomed to motionless magic lantern slides of railway scenes, this Flemington Station motion picture film must have been a revelation, as the train seemed to move towards the audience, encroaching on their personal space. When the film was developed at Barnett's Sydney studio, the technical standard of this shot was particularly admired. The upward drift of the smoke, the bustle of the crowd and the play of the light through the ladies' hats and across their gowns as they moved towards the gates could never be caught by a still camera. You can tell that this is an Australian film because the men all barge out of the doors of the train first, leaving the women to get out afterwards. Here's the Melbourne Cup favourite for 1896. The horse Newhaven, fresh from his win of the AJC Derby, with his jockey Harry Gardner and the trainer Wally Higginbotham holding the reins. Barnett directed this film, and you'll see from the look on Wally's face from time to time that he's listening to the photographer's instructions. Now, Lumiere camera film spools were 60 feet long, and they lasted just 1 minute in the camera. Sestia had no panning or tilting device on his tripod, and he cranked the film through from this single vantage point. No panning, no close-ups, no editing. Each film was a single photographic statement, although the photographic quality is excellent. Here Barnett tells Wall to take the horse around a second time. A view of the lawns near the grandstand at Flemington. It was a perfect day for the Cup with an estimated crowd of 80,000. Not bad for a city with a total population of under 500,000. Melbourne's elite sauntered about in the latest London and Paris fashions. Many people stared at the Lumiere machine, never dreaming that we'd be staring back at them nearly a century later.
This is the Community News. I'm Claire Halliday. Residents in Stonington Council will be billed for their rubbish according to how much they put out for collection. The Inner City Council is also looking to provide an extra bin for recycled goods. Whittlesea Council says it is going to improve its consultative approach to planning issues. Council spokesman Bob Baggio says the council is anxious to move from an adversarial to a more conciliatory process of resolving planning disputes. Residents in Whitehorse are being asked to contribute $50 for a tree. For the investment, the trees would receive priority care in a tree planting scheme that is across the eastern suburbs municipality. The council says the scheme will raise house values and make people proud of their city. The Coburg Cricket Club could be at the end of its 140-year history. The local Courier newspaper says plans to use the City Oval exclusively for football will endanger the future of the club. Club spokesman Dennis Fowler says the club has paid all its dues, has never been in debt, and helped finance improvements on the ground. That's all for now. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much indeed, Claire Halliday, with the local news wrap-up. And that's another night in our city. We've enjoyed speaking with Bob Garnett, our Frankston real estate man. We met Richard from Doncaster's Liberty Church, and we found out about Ladies' Night down at Danaher's Mitre 10 in Heidelberg. And today is Wednesday, March the 19th. That's the day that the Sydney Harbour Bridge was officially opened. The birthday of Bruce Willis, who visited Melbourne last year, you may remember. And that's it for Mansfields Melbourne for tonight. Join us on Optus Local Vision tomorrow night. Bye-bye. Mansfields Melbourne is brought to you by Hudson Bond Real Estate, building for your future and assuring you of personal attention at all times.